Hello guys, welcome back to the Crew 2 info. In the upcoming week, probably starting on Wednesday, we will also have a live crate boosted event. Now what does that mean? That means that the live crates that you find out there on the map will be boosted. That means there will be more around, there will be more parts in there will be better parts in there. It is mainly for new players, and so to find parts for all kind of disciplines, and it also helps people who still need a few parts here or there to complete yellow sets and all that kind of stuff. Now what can you find out there? What are the different sets? We're quickly going to go over that, and especially if you're involved in summits, and so what do you need and all that kind of stuff. If you're involved in summits, the most two important sets are the Nitro Chemist and the Score Breaker. Next to that, you will be able to find parts with Loot Digger, Fame Magnet, and Life Sniffers. Now, how does that all look? I will show you guys that here, that you sort of do you have an idea what to look for and stuff like that. In general, this is a full set of Nitro Chemist. So it has the Nitro Chemist bonus, set bonus on it, and then next to that we put in Pure and Extra Pump, and that is how the full set looks like. And then you can potentially recalibrate that. So the set bonus on all those 7 parts is Nitro Chemist. We put Pure in it, we max it out to 8%, and Extra Pump to 10%. This is the general race set that we are using. That means for time attacks, and so you can use this in most of the disciplines: street race, hypercar, rally raid, rally cross, power boat, and so on. You don't need it specifically in all disciplines. We will go a little bit more in detail for those specific disciplines where you need a little bit of a different combination or so, but in general, when it comes to racing, this is the set to go for. Next to that, you have the Score Breaker set. What does that mean? That means you have 7 parts with the Score Breaker set bonus on it, and that mainly you're going to use in skill tests. Next to that, what is also important, what you want to have next to that Score Breaker is Skilled, and eventually you want to recalibrate that and max it out to 10%. The second affix that you put next to that, you can put some Pure, you can put some Extra Pump, you can put basically whatever you want. The most important thing is Score Breaker with Skilled. I just have a set here with Pure on it, Pure 8% and Skilled 10%. Skilled 10 is the most importantly. The Pure you can potentially, if you say, okay, I want a bit of Nitro refill, then you can change that to Extra Pump or whatever it is that you want out there. Score Breaker with Skilled is a combination you always have to, if you have a Score Breaker, you need to have Skilled in that thing. It gives you more scoring. The Score Breaker multiplies the points by 2, and the Skilled gives you extra percentage. So for instance, if you do let's say an aerobatic event, you fly through that gate, you can score 1,000 points. That is the base score. If you have a Score Breaker set, 7 of these parts, you need to have all 7, otherwise it's not active. If you have all 7, it will double that. So that 1,000 points becomes 2,000 points. And on the base score of 1,000 points, you get some extra percentage from the Skilled. So if you max that thing out, you get 75% extra. That means that you could score 750 points more on the gate. So a aerobatic gate with 1,000 points, with a Score Breaker it becomes 2,000. With Score Breaker and Skilled it becomes 2,750 points that you can score on each of these gates. So that is kind of important. Where do you need it? You need it on the road. Hypercar are in general the fastest car, so you could put one there. Do you say, no, I want to do it with a street race bike, a slalom or something, or a touring car bike? Then you can put it on there as well, obviously. You need it off-road, mainly in rally raid. You can put it, you need it somewhere on the water. I would go for a power boat. The jet sprints are too slow. Barely any time we use that, so If you go for the water vehicle, go for the powerboat to put the score breaker on. And the same goes for the planes. Go for the fastest plane, which is air race. You don't really necessarily need a score breaker on aerobatics. Air race, powerboat, rally rate, and then some vehicle for the road, hypercar, street race bike, whatever you want. With 4 score breakers, you should be good to go for whatever the summit comes up with. 1 on the road, 1 off-road, 1 on the water, and 1 in the air. Those are the 2 main sets if you're involved in summits and so. But of course, you can also try to look for the other sets. You will automatically find them anyway, because you need to get these sets together, which means you need to find 7 score breakers, you need to find 7 nitrochemists. And while you open the box of those live crates, you will find some other parts as well, so you potentially could get the sets together anyway. This is how a loot digger set looks like. And if you want to really max it out, then you put Gold Finder and Lucky in it. Gold Finder will give you more parts. So if you do an event, let's say you do an event and the event drops 3 parts. If you have one of these loot digger sets, you're gonna get 6 parts from that, because the loot digger doubles the amount of parts that you get. And if you have Gold Finder on it, which gives you a more percentage of finding extra parts, you might be able to find 7 or 8 parts in that box or from that event. And the Lucky increases the quality of those parts. So let's say you would find a purple part with 7% on it, then it might be possible that because of the Lucky you will be able to get a yellow part from it. Or you find like a low percentage purple part, and with Lucky on it you're gonna get more percentage than you would normally get in case you don't have Lucky. So if you want to max it out, you put Lucky 25.5% and Gold Finder 6% on each of these 7 parts. Of course in combination with the loot digger set bonus. Now if you are a really new player and you want to level up a bit faster, you can always use the Fame Magnet set as well. Fame Magnet doubles the amount of followers that you get. So if you fly around a bit with your plane, you do some stunts or so, you get followers. A Fame Magnet bonus set, in other words 7 parts of those things, will double the amount of followers. And if you put popular on it, then it gives you extra percentage of followers. And next to that you can put some rich, which gives you extra bucks as well from stuff. So yeah, maxed out set, more or less Fame Magnet, popular 6, rich 3. That is sort of how the perfect Fame Magnet set looks like, I'm assuming. And then yeah, with the live crate out there, and with especially this week upcoming with the events boosted, you want to have something like this around, and this is the live reward sniffer. This thing searches boxes faster and also in a wider range, so you will find more boxes and you will detect them easier because of what we have on. The live reward set itself, the 7 parts, will increase the amount of boxes, the frequency that they will appear, that kind of stuff. And then you can put, if you really want to max it out, you can put collector 8 and sensor 10 next to it. The collector increases the live reward frequency apparition by a certain percentage, and the sensor increases the radar, so you can detect them in a wider range. And the sniffer reward itself, the bonus, multiplies the density by 2. So yeah, if you don't have this, you can do some air race event and try to find this set by, I'm assuming Wednesday that the event will start. You want to have this thing around. It's an air race plane, it's the fastest plane. You're gonna get around the map the fastest with the plane. So if you have a live sniffer on the plane, then you're good to go. Potentially you could also put one of those live reward sniffer sets on a rally raid vehicle or so on. But that more or less covers the 5 different sets. Life reward snipper, not so much to do for racing or whatever, but only for those boxes. Fame magnet in case you are really a new player and you still need to level up. You can always do stuff with that. Loot digger will give you more parts in case you're grinding a certain discipline for more parts or for better parts. Loot digger is the way to go. And the most important sets, especially if you're involved in summits and so, are the Nitro Chemist and the Score Breaker. Now, as I said before, this, let's say, standard racing set, the Nitro Chemist with Pure and Extra Pump, that is all fine in street race, in hypercar, in rally raid, in general for the racing disciplines. But there are also a few specific things that you have to take in consideration. For instance, on bikes, you could potentially change the extra pump with bender. So then you have a Nitro Chemist set with Pure and bender. What does the bender do? If you lean forward on a bike, it sort of keeps your top speed. That means that you don't need that much refill, or you don't need that much nitro. So you can put like bender with Pure or even bender with extra pump, make a bit of a mix as long as you have the bender maxed out to 66%. Once you reach your top speed, you lean forward, you don't have to boost anything. It will keep that top speed by leaning forward because you have that bender on it. So this is sort of what we call the bike set. You can use this in street race, in touring car, or in rally raid. In other words, in the disciplines where you have bikes. Potentially you could use this. So this is a more specific set. Drift, on the other hand, is something where the set bonus totally does not make any difference. I have a score breaker set here now active, so I have 7 score breakers, but that's because we want something like that from the summit. Drift is the only discipline where this thing does not play at all. What's more important, way more important, is the slippery. Slippery 14 increases your multiplier by 14 points. So the standard multiplier on drift is times 50. If you have in the pilot menu, you have 25 points on slippery, then your multiplier goes to 75. And then you have the slippery 14 here on this part that will give you 14 points more on the multiplier. And if you have 7 parts, it will give you 98 parts more, which means you have a maxed out multiplier of times 173. That of course is a big difference. If you do a drift run with, like, let's say 4,000 points, yeah, if you have the standard car with nothing on it, let's say you have a maxed out vehicle but you only have green parts or so, then your multiplier will go to 50 and you can score around 200,000 points. If you have the score breaker, doesn't matter, but if you have slippery, you get 14 points extra on that multiplier. So it's like 64 for every part, 64, 78 and so on. And then 25 you can get from the pilot menu as well. So yeah, the more slippery you have, 14 is the maximum, so you can have 14 as maxed on each of the 7, and then 25 points. So potentially, if you have it maxed out, like most of us have it, next to that we have hot head. Hot head increases the speed multiplier by 10%. So you're gonna get higher score the faster you drive, but it doesn't do that super much. It basically means that in case you lose the multiplier, that it goes up quicker again. But it doesn't matter, because when you do a drift event, the idea to begin with is to never lose that multiplier. Keep it till the end. You have 0 points, and when the event finish, then you get multiplied with the run that you did, and then you get your score 600, 700, 800,000 in case you do not lose it, and in case you have this maxed out set. So that's more specific for drift. Other than that, you don't need any sets here. The most importantly is slippery 14. So you need some sort of yellow part, whether that's a fame magnet, a score breaker, that doesn't matter. You need yellow because yellow is the only one where slippery can go to 14. If you have a purple part, the slippery can only go to 8 or something, I believe. And a blue part is even less. A green part has no bonuses, so you cannot get it on there to begin with. So some sort of yellow part where you can put slippery 14 on it. You can put hot head next to it if you want. The set bonus does not matter in drift. Drag is, you could use a standard nitrochemist with pure and extra pump, for instance for escape skill test or so. Then you have a chance that your nitro refills faster, and then you can use your boost 2 times or 3 times. Because unlike normal cars, in the drag car you can only use the boost once, and then it uses your whole bar of boost. But when it comes to drag events, we go for full boost, and that means the pure, which is let's say the long boost, and the frenetic, which is the short boost. We put those two next to each other to get the full boost that we can get. So pure 8, frenetic 3, specifically for drag inner nitrochemist, and obviously also here 7 parts of these things. Motocross, you can just go for the standard set, or you can make a bit of a mix, like I have it here now. I have some pure, I have some extra pump. You can max that out with pure and extra pump. I also have some frenetic, because you have like a lot of braking, a lot of coming out of the corners, so occasionally you could use a little bit of short boost. I think I have one of those so here or there on. Graceful makes you able to turn while you're hanging in the air, and the ventilated refills the air nitro when you're, or refills the nitro in general when you're hanging in the air. So ventilated is one of those things that you could replace the extra pump with, or you can make some combination. You look a little bit like, okay, what works best for me. Obviously now we have that air boost. Some people have it like on pure ventilated, but the air boost is way too strong. They are already looking into that. There have been tests. They are gonna tweak that, so I would not go for pure ventilated full set, because it's not gonna be that important once they have patched in the tweaks. So you will still have air boost, but it probably will be way less than it is now. So less strong. So with a combination like this, and you can, if you have enough money, you can always recalibrate this later on. You can just go for a pure extra pump if you want, but also this is possible. Mix of all these things. Monster truck, pure extra pump, not really necessary, because monster truck is based on scoring, and but not with a score breaker. So you have a specific scoring affix for monster truck, and that is called gifted. The gifted, you want to have 10% that is maxed out. That's going to give you the most scoring. Gives you you jump through, let's say, 1,000 points. If you have gifted on it, you get 10% extra. If you have the gifted maxed out as well in the pilot, put 25 points on it. As well on the part itself, you can max it out to 80%. So if you have 1,000 points on a monster arena, you see one of those 1,000 points, you jump through there, you get 1,000 points. With gifted, you get 1,800 if you jump through that thing. So yeah, nitrochemist with pure and gifted for the monster truck. Demolition derby, you can go for pure extra pump if you want, but most of us have like nitrochemist pure bulldozer. The bulldozer increases the collision impact force by a certain percentage. So if you go for arenas, you want to have nitrochemist pure bulldozer, probably the best choice. You could put a nitrochemist pure extra pump, like a normal racing set, next to that. Have a second nitrochemist set, because sometimes the devs find it a good idea to use these vehicles in time attacks in the summit, for instance. Then you want to have something where your nitro also refills. In the arena itself, it's not that important. It's more important to deal with the impacts of the collisions there. So then the bulldozer comes into play. Outside of the arenas, when you have time attacks or so, you probably want to have a second set next to that, because not already 3 or 4 times we use it in the summit as a race car, more or less. And then you go for nitrochemist pure and extra pump. But specifically for the arena, that's what I'm sort of showing these. Airplanes, sort of similar story as with the monster truck. You have a scoring based event in a way, and it has a specific affix for it, and it's called Magnificent. It gives you, just like the gifted in monster truck, in Aerobatics, the Magnificent gives you 10% extra scoring. So nitrochemist with pure and Magnificent, you could potentially, I see I have 15% extra pump here, so probably 1 or 2 of the other pures that I have on my 7-part set I replace with extra pump. But I have magnificent on all, and just like in the Monster, put 25% in pilot, you also get 80% in total. 10% from this part, 7 parts is 70% extra, and if you put 25 points in the pilot menu on magnificent, you get a 10% extra, so 80 in total. Same story, if you fly through a gate with 1000 points, the magnificent will make that 1800 points. In the event itself, right? Don't do it's not really with gates, it's more like loopings and such like that, but it gives you extra scoring. For skill tests, on the other hand, we don't use this, because then we use air race planes with a score breaker set, that as I explained before already. Let's see, anything else? Yeah, in the air race event itself, you could go for something like Perfectionist and Gateway, always on a Nitro Chemist set, but in the beginning we were flying around with that Perfectionist Gateway. The Gateway refills the Nitro when you have a perfect gate in air race, and that refills faster than extra pump. So the Gateway sort of replaces your extra pump. Next to that we have Pure. In the beginning we had Perfectionist, which gives you a wider range of perfection, which means you don't need to fly that perfect in the angle that the game wants to give you. If you're somewhere in the area of the circle, then the Perfectionist will help you out a little bit to give you like the perfect score, although you're not really flying through it perfectly. But then you are, after a while we started noticing it's not really the fastest thing around, because you are lacking nitro boost then. So we replaced that Perfectionist that we originally used in Pure. So now we are using Nitro Chemist with Pure and Gateway. The Gateway still replaces the extra pump because it refills faster than extra pump. So for air race, this is the set we use there. Now, occasionally you can win certain sets in the summit, and if they give you a full set, 7 parts, then you just have the normal standard values. But from time to time you also get boosted parts, and that means that certain percentages will be boosted. They will have like 1 or 2% more than you can create yourself, that you can recalibrate yourself. And that is for instance the case here. We have a Rallycross Nitro Chemist set, which has Pure and Drifty on it. Pure is the boost, and the Drifty is refilling nitro when you are sliding, when you are drifting, which very often is the case in Rallycross. So this is something you could use, although most of us do not use that. Most of us just have a normal set in Rallycross with Pure and extra pump on it. But here, so the Drifty replaces the extra pump in this case. But normally the Pure you can recalibrate all you want. The maximum you're going to get from that is 8%, and the Drifty maximum you're going to get from that is 4%. But here this set is boosted, and that means that each and single one of these parts has been boosted with 1%. So this is like Pure 9 and Drifty 5, which gives it in total Drifty 45% and Pure 73, while the Pure normally can only go to 66%. And the Drifty can only go to 38, I think it is. So it's a bit boosted, it doesn't matter that much. Unless, of course, they make a mistake, which they did here. They gave us a score breaker, and Pure is boosted, not that important, it's 1% more boost. Okay, 7 parts, that is 7%. But it's just a little bit more boost, nothing to worry about. The skills, on the other hand, is something to worry about. This is the first time in all these summits that they made this mistake. In other words, that they boosted one of the scoring factors of an affix. Magnificent, Gifted, all those things, and also Skilled, they involve scoring. And they before they had boosted some of those sets, but they never touched that scoring affix. In this case, they did, which in my opinion is a mistake, because it was a platinum set that you could win, or at least gold or something. So you get like these boosted parts. They never come as a set. You usually win 1 week, you win 3 parts, and then the week after that or 2 weeks after that, you win the other 4 parts, and that makes your set. But here they boosted the skilled. Normally skilled, you can only recalibrate it, as you can see here, on the range from 5 to 10%. So maximum that you can get it is 10%, and they gave us 12%. That means we have 2% more scoring on 7 parts. That's 14% more scoring. So there are 3,000 players, or in case it was gold, and it's 8,000 players on each platform that have this set. All the other people or new players do not have this set. This was a mistake that they made. I don't know why they did it. It was like the first time. They always took that in consideration. We don't boost the skilled, we don't boost slippery, we don't boost magnificent, we don't boost gifted. They did not boost anything which involved scoring, and then suddenly they gave us this set, which is now of course the fastest scoring set for skill tests. That also means that if you see certain skill tests where they in the past people were using a hypercar or a touring car or some sort of bike in street race or even an Alpha GP or so, yeah, that does no longer is the case, because this thing gives 14% more scoring. It might be slower than a hypercar, but it gives you 14% more scoring. So if you have a slalom here or there, even if it is not off-road, people will use this off-road vehicle because you have the boosted rally rate set. A little mistake here from the devs. But in general, we have some power boats that they boosted with pure 9 extra pump 11, so that's 1% more pure, 1% more nitro refill. Doesn't make that much of a difference. This set on the other hand did. So this is like, yeah, in 2 years time, one mistake that they made. But in general, you have some stuff like this here, 1% pure, 1% drifty more on all these parts. Doesn't make that much of a difference. But if they're gonna mess with boosted scoring parts, yeah, then you have this kind of stuff, eh? Nevertheless, I wanted to give you an overview of these parts, because yeah, that is more or less what you are looking for. You have all these different sets, and with the live creative hint, even as a new player, and I know for sure because last year there was also one of these events, and I flew around for a week on my second driver, and I basically had not much parts there, and I have every single discipline. I have the sets that I need to play summits. So I have score breaker sets, I have nitro chemist sets, I have a live sniffer plane, I have here or there, I have a maxed out loo digger, I have a maxed out V magnet, also on my second driver, and I just used that in the last year with the anniversary, 1 year of the crew. They also did some sort of event, and I used that, but yeah, it is a bit time and effort is gonna need to go in there, especially if you're a new player, but it is your chance to catch up for 2 years, more or less. Even if you bought the game like last week, if you fly around next week, you open boxes as much as you can. That means that you're gonna have to fly around 3, 4, 5 hours a day, and probably 4 or 5 days in a row to get all these sets. But yeah, it's 5 days of works to get what some people took 2 years to get, and some people out there don't even have it at all. This is your chance. I'm assuming it starts on Wednesday, more or less alongside the summit, the new summit that will start on Wednesday, and then they will do that live creative event, I'm assuming, for the whole week during the anniversary week. It's 2 years of the crew next week, so that's when they have the anniversary week. So if you still need parts, start grinding for the boxes. We will do, once it is there, we will do a route that we always took. It takes about 2 hours flying, I think, and you can open 50 to 60 boxes. In some of those, you will find 8, 9, 10 parts. So yeah, you can get a lot of parts. And what is also very important for these boxes is that no matter where it is, even if it's in the middle of the forest, you can always switch to the vehicle that you want to upgrade before you open the box. Even if you switch to a drag car or to a plane or to a jet sprint boat in the middle of the forest, as long as you open that box with that vehicle, you will get parts for that vehicle. So you fly around with, that is something, that's why I'm also posting it now on Sunday already, because what you definitely want to grind for, even now already, is this live sniffer. You don't need to have the sensor and the collector maxed out like I have it here. This is like the perfect set, but as long as you have 7 of these live sniffers on a plane, preferably on an air race plane because those are the fastest, then you're already more or less prepared for Wednesday when the event starts. Because this thing will detect more boxes and it will detect them in a wider range. So if you have a live sniffer, you can fly around with this thing, and once you find the box, you go down, you switch to a rally raid bike or so. Once you pick up the signal, if you're close enough, you don't need to have a sniffer set on any other vehicle. The box will it will keep beeping and it will keep popping up. And then you drive to that box, you put yourself next to it, you switch to whatever it is that you want to upgrade. My advice is, if you want to, for instance, update a drag car, make it your favorite. And at the same time also make a boat your favorite, power boat or jet sprint, because some of the boxes are underwater, you can only open them with a boat. That is the easiest way to upgrade your power boat and jet sprints. But also in the middle of the forest, if you're close enough to the box, you can switch to a boat, of course, taking consideration you cannot move with a boat in the forest, so make sure that if you put your boat over there next to the box, that you can still open it. Otherwise you're going to have to switch between vehicles a few times. But you can, for instance, I don't like drag that much as an event, find it boring. So my drag car, for instance, I completely upgraded with live crate boxes. I just flew around, went down as close as I could with the plane to the box, and then switched to the drag car. And I opened the box with the drag car, and then you get parts for the drag car. That's a way of upgrading it. But you can always make sure you have 3 favorites in with your fast FAF. You can quickly switch between the vehicles. But if you have this set, so you have like 2-3 days to try to get this set together, do some air race events, or fly around for boxes already. But also makes you these boxes always appear more or less on the same spot. There will be a bunch which will not trigger when you fly over that. We always had like some sort of route. We start in Miami, we fly all the way over the East Coast towards New York. You will find several boxes already before you are there. Then you fly a bit more north to Niagara Falls. Then you go west to Detroit. Definitely do Michigan Forest, which is north of Chicago and west of Detroit, because you will find 12 to 15 boxes already in that forest. So that's definitely, and then once you are arriving in Chicago, you can choose either to go further westwards towards Seattle. That means there are quite some boxes, but that does mean that you're going to have to go down in the forest a couple of times because there are a lot of woods there. Or you can say, no, I'm not going to go westwards, I'm going to go southwards from Detroit towards Dallas, Santa Fe area. That's also a line that you can take. There are boxes all over. In theory, you can fly all over the... but yeah, for instance, in the canyon, you're going to have a bit of more difficult landings. In the desert, Black Mount area, you don't find that many boxes. There are boxes, but it's not that great. So what we usually did, we did like Miami, New York, Niagara Falls, Detroit, and then do Seattle. And then we went back to Miami. We did that same route again to Chicago, and then that way we from Chicago we went southwards towards Dallas. So that is like, all in all, takes 2 hours and a half to do that route like 2 times in a way. And then you have like 50, 60, 70 boxes opened. If you play like that much, then you can upgrade 2 to 3 vehicles or disciplines a day. So yeah, the more you fly, the more parts you will find, the faster you will be done with all your disciplines if you want to upgrade. If you're only going to fly 1 hour a day, you're going to have to fly all week, and then you probably will not be good enough to upgrade all your vehicles if you really start from from scratch. If you already have some sets and you just fly around for whatever it is that you need. That will be it for this one, guys. Be prepared for the live crate boost. Try to get this set at least by by Wednesday, when the live crate thing starts, and then fly around and open boxes. If you fly around with this thing, you will find the boxes, and then you can open them with whatever it is that you want to upgrade. That will be it. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye for now.